Hey Cancer, I'm going to do a quick energy check-in for the period extending out of the new moon in Capricorn. I'm a little late to the game here. I had a lot of setbacks, so I apologize, but this should go out to the next week, initially anyway. Really, my readings are timeless, general readings. So whenever you find them, perhaps it's meant for you. Some distant future date, some distant future land. So Cancer, this is for Sun, Moon, Rising, and that's it. Sun, Moon, and Rising Cancer signs. If this reading resonates with you, please do hit the like, subscribe, and throw me a comment if you feel so moved. All right, Cancer, let's get into this. I'm doing this slightly different approach to my readings for those of you who are returning. I'm going to lay them out and be a little academic at first, and then we're going to get into the intuitive part. Okay, let's do this. Cancer, it has to do with a King of Swords energy. It says air energy. You might be dealing with an air sign. That would be Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra. This is the most exalted representation of a suit of swords, which is intellectual energy. It's mental clarity. It's really strong, sophisticated communication. Very wise, very stern, perhaps a little cutting, a little cold, but in the upright, largely well-meaning, and but no one to be messed with by and large. In general, a card of communication, a card of being a cold authority. Crossing you is the victory, though. I should say it is the Six of Wands. This is a victory card. It is also a card of recognition. It's a win. It's a really big win. It's a win after a battle hard fought, but the win was, your win was so clear that you don't have to lick any wounds. You can make it to your victory procession. Not a wounded warrior. You're a clear winner here. At the root of your situation is the Hermit. Virgo energy. The Hermit is going within. It's very sage energy. It's having to take a step back and meditate on something, really contemplate, be contemplative. Stands for a lot of wisdom. Looking for the light, or seeing the light. Yeah. The Hermit. And in the recent past is, so sweet. The Page of Cups is a messenger, he's a messenger of love. He's a messenger of creativity. He's also a messenger of whimsy. It's a youthful energy. This could represent you. The Cups energy is water signs, Cancer, so you're represented, and your energy is represented in this card. I always like to say that the fish is sort of representative to me of going above and beyond in this message and in this offering of love or creativity. It's saying that everybody else is giving you a cup of water. I'm giving you a cup of fish. Because fish, what thrives in water? I'm giving you what can thrive. And that's one way to look at it. There are some other ways to look at it, but that's my favorite way. And we'll see how it pertains to your reading once we get to the intuitive part. What crowns you is the Hierophant. This is a card of practice, of religiosity, of tradition. Sorry, I couldn't quite get it out. Of tradition, of marriage sometimes, of mediation. It's institution, so if not church, then maybe a school system or a court system. There is a level of wisdom and teaching, hence the practice. So anything that you're practicing religiously is represented by the Hierophant. It's also Taurus energy. in your near future, is Strength card. Strength card is Leo energy. It is a time, it talks about a time where you are guided to use your deep courage and inner strength in a way that is, I'm being just, this isn't typical, but in a way that makes you stand out. That may resonate for some of you. Yeah, this is a real deep strength. It's for some of you, it is a show of deep strength. You may be called to, in a public way, stand up for something. The person on this card is putting her hands in the lion's mouth. It's very performative. It's not very necessary, is it? So it's a very performative act of strength. It could also mean strength in a really deep internal way, especially if it's in the reverse. But in the upright, it's I think it's more of a display of strength for you in this reading. It will come to pass. We shall see, though, especially with that victory card. So your energy is the Nine of Swords in reverse. This talks about, Nine of Swords in the upright talks about personal anxiety, sleepless nights, something really up in your head about something. But in the reverse, it's actually quite good because it means that you're releasing that energy. So something coming together. I'm sort of seeing something here, but I can't get ahead of myself. Yeah. We've got the Seven of, in your environment, it's the Seven of Wands, but in the reverse. Seven of Wands is about being defensive, having to stand your ground, having to take the higher ground in a situation. This is all starting to gel together, isn't it? These concepts. In the reverse, it's again that kind of the need of that coming to an end. So if this is in your environment, talks about people who are being defensive, sort of putting their staves down. Your hopes and fears, Cancer. Your hopes and fears. Ooh, the moon. So the moon talks about a level of mystery, a level of secrecy. It's what lurks in the shadows, not everything being fully illuminated to the point that you can really discern what's going on. So there's this hope and fear of something's being kept from you, perhaps. I always like to remind that the moon, especially the full moon depicted on this card, actually lights up quite a lot. So we can choose to use those as sort of beacons to light the way, those things that are glinting in the moonlight, and try to extrapolate from what we do know. But that being your hopes and fears, it makes sense considering what, what's sort of cooking up here, is that, you might feel like you might be left out of something, and your result is, or your outcome is the Two of Swords. Two of Swords energy is, again, so Cancer, you're really intuitive. So there might be some information that you don't have. The Two of Swords says that you have a choice to make. You're being led to a crossroads of sorts, but it's difficult to make because you don't have all the information. This person is blindfolded. The moon is depicted up here too, sort of supporting that idea further, extrapolating from the moon card energy. So here you are, feeling blinded by understanding what your environment is, where you stand, and being asked to make a decision. And it's a really tough place to come from. And this is where this is sort of going, and we'll get clarifications on this. But in general, the Two of Swords stands for having to make a decision, being blocked off, blocking in general, being blocked off from information, from communication. Okay, so let's put this together. I think we're kind of already on that path. So it deals with the King of Swords energy. That could be you, crossed by a victory card. So something happened. So I think that, you're really at the top of your game. I feel this is your energy, Cancer, at current moment. And that you have, through public speaking, is going to resonate for a lot of you. That's what's popping into my mind through some sort of public speaking venue, through some sort of some clear communication. This can be for some of you in relationships that you have, a relationship you have. It can be at work. It could be at school. It's going to be different for everybody. But on the at the high level, the concepts are that through some sort of very eloquent sorry, I'm just getting stuck in my head about how ironic it is that I can't find the words to say the word eloquent. Awesome. So, lots of that going on. But by virtue of the use of your good word, your truth, you earn a real victory. There's a real victory had here. And it's a public one. You know, again, with the wands energy here, you get public recognition out of that. Now, whether that means in your, in your group setting, in your office setting, or in, whatever place of gathering that you are committing this fantastically wonderful and successful act, you get recognition and claim a victory out of it. And perhaps it is an authority. For some of you, it is going to be an authority figure bestowing upon you this victory. This is the situation. This reading deals with this energy. So, but we get a real high level of, so for some of you, if it's not spoken word, it's just something that took, a lot of sharp thinking. You put together something that was really, really excellently planned and excellently executed, so that's sort of vocationally, perhaps, or perhaps at school, on behalf of a group, I think, but you're getting public recognition for that. So it deals with that. At the root of it, sort of comes from like a real sage wisdom. So with the Hierophant card presenting there too, I have a feeling that this was research. So there was a lot of research done on this project potentially. For others of you, again, if it's not, vocational or something like that, like school, or it had to do with something that you really took your time with it. You really thought it out. It's something that comes from a really deep place of truth. And truly this communication deals with a deep level of truth that is clear and understood and articulated very well in a way that gets through to people. And that was not easy to do. People take for granted what it takes to refine one's word. And it's because you did the work. You behaved as a hermit, and you did what you needed to do in order to produce a very sage result. And that is the root of the situation. That's where you're coming from. What crowns you is sort of this. So it's going to be a little different for everybody, but I want to say that this is a place of practice, or there's sort of a general understanding of practice here. Again, it could be. If it's a job, it could be a sort of corporate office space. Sorry, tripping over my tongue. Corporate office space, or it's again school for some of you. It's or it's something that you come together and practice regularly, or it's your work. It's the business that you do religiously, and this is the energy that crowns you. It's a steady practice though. So all of this is like, kind of building up an energy of really, like the success and the results from a very disciplined practice, something that you are trying to get results for, and it's different for everybody. For some of you, it's a job you do every day and have been doing forever, and you just get to this point where it's like you just become really good at it. There was a project to be done, you're at the head of the team, and you do it, and you excel at it, and you get accolades. And for others of you, it's a school project. For others of you, it's going to be, a group activity that you came together and said, let's get creative, and through just steady discipline, you really produce something wonderful. And for others of you, if this is more on a personal relationship level, I don't see a whole lot of love it's a little bit actually. So maybe, but yeah, if for those of you where this is more of a relationship or a friendship, romantic or platonic, that is, we're talking about a something that leads to the relationship going to the next level. So, through, your sharp wit and, not wit, no, just through an understanding that there was a need for clear communication, at a certain point, you get a victory out of it. Maybe the conversation is like, we need to take the relationship to the next level, and you have that conversation and you're heard, you're recognized, and you get a victory out of that. And it took you a long time to get there because you had to sort of think about, the pros and cons of putting it on the table. And what's crowning you is that it is leading towards, something that's more traditional, that goes to the next level, and indeed perhaps marriage for some of you. So that's sort of the broad scope of where all of this could go. Now, in the recent past, this all sort of stems from an offer or a message that, is sort of the seed of inspiration, but it comes from the heart space because it's the cups. The Page of Cups is it's sort of the spark of whimsy once again. So again, if this is towards the more vocational or project-oriented reading or application of these cards, we're talking about like a sort of whimsical inspiration. So, again, maybe a group of you and collaborators were like, let's get together and create this wonderful thing. I've got this great idea. There was a spark of whimsy, and you said, yeah, let's do it. For others of you, this, on the relationship side, this started out as young love, and so the Page of Cups is here, as sort of a young person in earnest offering their cup of love, and that's sort of like, it went from, but it's the page level, so it's not the knight or the queen or the king, so it's a new love, and so which would make sense that you would want to level up, right? So this makes a lot of sense in this placement. Either way, like there was a spark of whimsy, a spark of love, a spark, something that said, let's get together and do this thing, however, whichever way, however it resonates for you out there in the collective. And then in the near future, you have the Strength card. So again, the Strength card, so it is the need to be strong. It's the need for public strength. So I'm kind of like, let's keep on going with the, relationship to the next level. There might be a need to have a proposal, like a grand gesture proposal in public. So this sort of feels like, especially in that context, the putting the hand in the lion's mouth is sort of that, that brave grand gesture, and isn't proposing to somebody. Doesn't that feel the same way? Can't that feel the same way? Or even truly like asking for it to, go to the next level, if that means moving in or whatever that means for you. For those of you we're talking about a relationship. For others of you, when it's the vocational or project-oriented thing, it is putting, it's the grand gesture. It's putting the project on display. It's making the presentation. It's something that is a grand gesture of strength. Whatever that final presentation needs to be, it's curtain. It's go time, and and it's going to require a little bit of courage, you're putting yourself on display in the near future, and that's what it feels like, and that's going to, ask of you to be strong, and, because naturally you'll be nervous, but it looks like you've earned this spot. It's no problem. So what goes on, in your head is that, whenever there's a reversal, especially in the sword stuff, the stuff that's kind of like not great, like the Nine of Swords is feeling is terrible, that's that terrible anxiety of sleep and sleepless nights. So when it's reversed, it is the end of it, but it does imply that you've gone through it. And it's no wonder, it seems like that all of this suggests that, there was a need to dig deep and get disciplined or think about something. And it was, you know, it was a battle, you know, because that's what's implied by a victory, you know, that there was a fight. And so, but you know, you're on the other side of it now, and so now you can release these energies of it, this energy of anxiety, because you got a success out of it, you know, is what it seems to be. And in the environment that, you know, causes everyone to sort of stand down. So again, what all of this sort of like prelude success, this success story over here, or this really lovely like leveling up story, whatever it is, it implies that it was, you know, a stage that came after a period of sort of unrest. Like maybe things were just uncertain at that point. You know, if it was you on the job, you were just like, you know, maybe you hadn't been given a chance like this before, and you suddenly you know, had the invitation to, you know, to level up, you know, and arrive at this moment. And, you know, you going through it was a big deal, you know, it was kind of newer for you. And for those of you with the relationship, it's, you know, maybe something was, you know, the question of like whether or not the relationship would level up was on the table, and was starting to cause a little, you know, we like to do that. We like to sit on these things, right? And so it was starting to cause a little bit of like, you know, defensiveness of like, you know, well, what are we doing here anyway? And so by virtue of this thing that's sort of happening and on the table, you know, you release the anxiety for yourself, and you release, and in your environment, the defensiveness kind of like starts to come to an end. But, you know, you still, your hopes and fears are still like, you're still moving forward, and so what's next? You know, leveling up doesn't mean arriving at the top, you know, and so you know that there's something else that's kind of not that has yet to be addressed, and so you hope your hopes and fears has to do with like being the moon. It has to do with you know, maybe your mind a little bit running away with you, but there's an acknowledgement that there's so much more to discover, and you know, that can be scary, you know, even if it means success, even if it's a byproduct of success. You're like, yay, more road. Ooh, you know what I mean? And so that's only natural, I like to say. So the moon being in your hopes and fears is sort of like, yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and the new situation, the promotion of whatever this is, whatever these dynamics is, brings about a whole new set of questions. And in the outcome, we're going to clarify this. There is a crossroads it brings you to. So, you know, whether it's saying yes or so we have to get clarifiers for this, because the Two of Swords, it's sort of like pointing out something that's just a matter of fact. It's not good or bad necessarily. Maybe it's an anxious position to be in, not knowing all of the answers, but you know, it's or not having or feeling like you have enough information, you know. So for some of you, is, you know, the crossroads is going to be the level up, you know. So it may be that through this victory, you are being offered more promotion. So that might mean more money, but also like work that you're not as into, as you know, however that manifests. It's sort of you know, the feeling that it may not be a clear choice, and you don't feel like you have all the information in order to go forward. So if we're talking about the relationship leveling up, that sort of thing, it's, you know, I think that it's a feeling of, you know, yes, you go forward, but it's maybe then what, or like how long, or, you know, what, you know, there might be this feeling of a next step. I mean, you know, instead of positing possibilities, let's get some clarifiers. Let's see what tarot. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, I don't know, sounded really, wow. Oh my, what is that? Oh, I gotta take, what? A lot of people involved. Sorry, I'm just getting goofy. There's like sort of this energy all of a sudden that I've got is really goofy, and I got the, oh, hello, the Fool in reverse, so maybe that's some of it. Okay, lots of information now. Okay, The first card that came out is the Sun card in reverse. Sun card is best card in the deck. Doesn't matter if it's reversed or upright. It is always a bright, bright, life-giving energy. And in the reverse, it just means that it's sort of like this internal inner happiness, like you find your truth, you find your place, and so that bodes well for the future, doesn't it? So whatever choice you make, it's going to be one that brings you a great deal of inner happiness. We got the Queen of Pentacles. This is very like motherly, nurturing energy. If this is your energy that it speaks to, or if there's another person, okay, a couple of different things. Some of you might be your energy that you're moving into, male or female, it doesn't matter. It just is that you are feeling really wealthy, and like it's something that brings you a great deal of material security and satisfaction, and you feel well supported and nurtured. For others of you, you're going to rely on the support of somebody who's like sort of a mother figure. And so that's where this advice is going to lead to, if it's, you know, like your new boss, or maybe it's your best friend, or some trusted advisor that you go seek out support in order to understand what direction to go in this great sort of crossroads decision. There's a passionate message on the way as well that will also bring clarity here. And sorry, the Judgment card is here to say that it's a life calling. It's, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever, you know, the Judgment is you know, a real ascension. It just, I think overall it speaks to the idea of ascension. This is again a leveling up reading is what I'll call it. And the Judgment card being major arcana, it speaks to a life calling too. So this is really ticking a major box in your mission on Earth stuff. And finally the Fool in reverse is sort of like, you know, this reckless abandon that's required of you. So this is telling me that this energy, like you get out of this energy by, you know, just saying, bother the blindfold. I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith with a little bit of recklessness. It feels reckless to you because I think, Cancer, you know, in this particular situation, you know, things are, you might feel that there's enough at stake that wouldn't be your typical way of handling the situation, but you're sort of like, I think, you know, you have a real intuitive nature about you, and you have a good sense about, you know, coming off of the energy of the success that, you know, that you just got out of, that you not got out of, but you just experienced. I think that, you know, the feeling out of that, the victory, the sense of victory out of that has a lot of resonance, and can fuel your answer. So even though you don't have like the practical and tactical information that you would need, you think you would need in order to make this particular decision, you've got enough to go on and just how it feels. And again, Cancer, you're, you know, typically very intuitive, and it leads to a lot of happiness, a lot of inner happiness, and you have, you know, potential support of somebody who's very trustworthy and nurturing to you. Otherwise, this is something that's going to bring you a great deal of wealth. The message that, you know, that it brings, the news that it brings is passionate. It sings to you, and you know, and stokes a fire in you. It's also sort of a sense of adventure to it too, and it does have to do with your life's calling, you know, a little bit. You know, it's a mission here. You're on a mission from God, you know, for you Blues Brothers fans out there. And here you are committing it over and over again. So it's really, really lovely. So however that resonates with you, Cancer, I'm going to leave this here. And I hope you liked it. If you did, please do hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you feel so moved. Also drop a comment. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you at the next one. Until then, I'm sending my love and light.